The burning of the Jedi Temple in Revenge of the Sith represents far more than a military victory. It marks the beginning of one of cinema's most chilling examples of systematic cultural genocide. When Palpatine executes Order 66, he doesn't merely eliminate his political opponents, he orchestrates the complete erasure of a thousand-year-old civilization from galactic memory. The genius of Palpatine's plan lies not in its brutality, but in its comprehensive scope. The Jedi weren't just warriors or peacekeepers, they were the living embodiment of an entire philosophical tradition, guardians of ancient knowledge and keepers of galactic history. By destroying them, Palpatine doesn't simply remove a threat, he creates a historical vacuum that only his narrative can fill. Consider the methodical nature of the Purge. Clone troopers don't just kill adult Jedi, they systematically eliminate younglings, ensuring no future generation can carry forward the traditions. The temple itself becomes a target, not for its strategic value, but for its symbolic importance. Those towering spires that once represented hope and justice now burn as monuments to imperial power. But the physical destruction is only the beginning. The real horror lies in what happens next. Palpatine doesn't celebrate his victory over the Jedi. Instead, he rewrites their very existence. Through carefully crafted propaganda, the Jedi transform from beloved peacekeepers into dangerous religious extremists who betrayed the Republic. Their 1,000 years of service reframed as manipulation and control. This historical revisionism operates on multiple levels. First, Palpatine controls the immediate narrative. The Jedi didn't die as martyrs defending democracy, they were eliminated as traitors attempting a coup. The evidence? Mace Windu's attack on the Chancellor himself. One moment of desperation becomes justification for genocide. Second, he systematically destroys their cultural artifacts. Jedi holocrons, ancient texts, historical records, all disappear into Imperial vaults or are destroyed entirely. The knowledge that took millennia to accumulate, erased in a matter of months. Future generations won't just forget the Jedi, they'll have no way to remember them accurately. The transformation of the temple itself represents this cultural annihilation perfectly. What was once the galaxy's greatest repository of wisdom becomes Palpatine's personal palace. The meditation chambers where Jedi sought enlightenment converted into throne rooms celebrating Sith power. The archives that preserved galactic history replaced with imperial propaganda. Palpatine understands that controlling the present requires owning the past. By the time of A New Hope, the Jedi have become myths and legends. Han Solo, a well-traveled smuggler, dismisses the Force as ancient religion and simple tricks. If someone like Han can doubt their existence just 20 years later, imagine what centuries of imperial education could accomplish. The psychological warfare extends beyond simple propaganda. Palpatine doesn't just tell people the Jedi were evil, he makes them complicit in their destruction. Every clone trooper who executed Order 66, every senator who applauded their elimination, every citizen who accepted the new narrative becomes invested in maintaining the lie. Admitting the truth would mean confronting their own participation in genocide. This creates a self-perpetuating system of denial. Parents who live through the Purge have every incentive to forget, to move on, to accept the imperial version of events. They pass this sanitized history to their children, who grow up never knowing what was lost. Within a generation, the Jedi become cautionary tales rather than heroes. The few surviving Jedi face an impossible choice: fight back and confirm imperial propaganda about their dangerous nature, or hide and allow their legacy to die with them. Obi-Wan and Yoda choose exile, preserving themselves but sacrificing their culture. They become living ghosts, haunting the edges of a galaxy that has forgotten them. Even their connection to the Force becomes weaponized against them. What was once proof of their spiritual authority becomes evidence of their otherness. Force sensitivity, once celebrated and nurtured, becomes something to hide or suppress. The very gift that made them guardians of peace transforms into a mark of persecution. Palpatine's masterpiece lies in making the galaxy forget what it lost. People don't mourn the Jedi because they can't remember why they should. The institutional knowledge, the philosophical traditions, the cultural practices all fade into obscurity. The galaxy doesn't just lose its protectors, it loses its memory of ever needing protection from the dark side. This systematic erasure creates the perfect conditions for Sith rule. Without the Jedi to provide alternative perspectives, Imperial doctrine becomes the only truth. Without their historical records, past atrocities can be repeated without recognition. Without their philosophical framework, concepts like compassion and selflessness lose their institutional support. The true horror of Order 66 isn't the violence, it's the silence that follows. 1,000 years of wisdom, tradition, and hope reduced to whispered legends and half-remembered stories. Palpatine doesn't just defeat the Jedi, he makes it as if they never existed. When Luke Skywalker emerges as a new hope, he's not just fighting the Empire, he's battling the complete erasure of his heritage. Every force power he learns, every lightsaber technique he masters, every moral choice he makes represents a small victory against Palpatine's campaign of cultural genocide. The Jedi don't just return in the original trilogy, they resurrect from deliberate oblivion. This is why Revenge of the Sith remains so haunting. It shows us how quickly civilization can be erased, how easily truth can be replaced with lies, and how completely a culture can disappear when those in power control both the present and the past. The burning temple isn't just the end of the Jedi Order, it's the death of memory itself.